Plastic. Plastic is very cheap and nearly indestructible. This is what both makes plastic amazing and also very dangerous. Humans use plastic for almost everything. Can you imagine a life without plastic? There'd be no Tupperware, no Ziploc, no Glad, no water bottles, and most of all, no rubber duckies. No rubber duckies? Exactly. Because these products are so strong, they can last for hundreds of years. Now I know what you may be thinking. Great, I never have to buy anything ever again. But by a show of hands, how many of you here know exactly where every bottle of water is that you've ever purchased? How many of you know how many bottles of water you've ever purchased? What happened to these bottles? They're somewhere in a landfill or most likely in the ocean somewhere. And this can be a great problem for the environment as well as the animals that live there. A surprising amount of trash ends up in the ocean or in landfills. These effects can be very hazardous to many different ecosystems that are involved in the ocean or on land. I'm going to tell you about how plastic can be harmful, how to fix this problem, and what can be done about it. All of this will be in an attempt to persuade you to recycle more plastic. Like I said, plastic is very durable, and that is what makes it so dangerous to the environment when humans use it far too much and do not take care of it properly. In dealing with this issue, I will discuss the problem, explain how the problem came about, as well as look at possible solutions to the problem. Let's begin with the problem. Plastics are just about everywhere and used in just about every industry that humans take part in, whereas this is creating too big of a problem on landfills in the land and on ocean. The United Nations program estimated that in 2006, every square mile of ocean hosts about 46,000 pieces of floating plastic. Also, in some areas, the amount of plastic outweighs the amount of plankton by a ratio of 6 to 1. Plankton are small animals that help to form the ecosystems of the ocean, whereas they're the smallest level on the food chain, and they go on to feed the greater chunks of the food sources. They build up, essentially, majority of ecosystems. They're based on plankton. Plastic constitutes about 90% of all the trash in the ocean, according to the LA Times. Now, with this amount of trash floating around, this trash can very easily choke out the animals from getting oxygen, whereas the plankton can't breathe because there's just so much bits of plastic in the water. Another problem that this plastic can have is it releases chemicals into the earth, which can spill and make very dangerous deposits of very hazardous materials, and this hazardous material can end up going into water systems and underwater tablets of water, and you can just underground tablets of water, sorry, and this can contaminate the water, which may end up in your drinking wells. Also, plastic can cause the death of many sea creatures which may accidentally eat them, thinking that the plastic is some sort of food. Now that you know about how bad the problem actually is, let's talk about how it happened. Plastic is not biodegradable, but is actually photodegradable, which means it's not normally broken down by any living organisms, but the plastic is broken down into smaller pieces by light, which is, in most cases, the sun. The plastic is not ever broken down completely, so it just turns into smaller and smaller bits. These smaller and smaller bits can then go into choke coral polyps that make up the coral reefs and form many more ecosystems. Plastic is used in almost every industry, which means it can be found in great numbers and shapes and sizes in almost every household because it is so cheap, as well as it is very durable. So this makes it almost a problem, whereas fast food is cheap and easy to obtain, but it's awful for your body. People do not typically dispose of plastics in the right way, but instead just buy new ones. How many of you actually save those water bottles that you have or recycle them? That's a problem that many people face today. Another interesting fact is that if you were to recycle a bottle of water, or a plastic bottle actually, it would cost half the energy and actually make more energy than it would take to incinerate a bottle. Almost twice as much to incinerate a bottle as it would to recycle it. People do not think of things like this, and this is how we end up with such a surplus of waste in this world's ocean. Of the more than 200 billion pounds of plastic in the world produces each year, about 10% of it ends up in the ocean, according to Greenpeace.com. This just shows there's a lot of plastic in the world, and the solution may not be an easy one, but there are some solutions that you can take. People could carry plastic containers to recycling companies in their nearby neighborhoods. The government can make a law that puts a tax on the use of plastics, and this could raise the taxes on industries that use plastics in their manufacturing. I feel like this would hinder these companies in using plastic, and they'd try to find alternative routes, which would essentially make the plastic not so cheap. Also, there should be more rebates for people who actually recycle plastic. The government should make a law that says that all public buildings must recycle their plastic used. People can think of more conscious ways to save plastic and find more eco-friendly alternatives, such as paper bags at the grocery store instead of plastic ones. Simple things like this can help the environment in a great way. The threat we face is a real one. There are already too much plastic in landfills and in the ocean as it is. Let's try to curb how much plastic we use. If we stay at the rate that we're at, there will be no ocean left for us to enjoy, because it will be destroyed by inconsiderate, mindless wasting done by humans. 200 billion tons of anything a year, I think, is far too much. Live more consciously, or you might not be living for much longer. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Thank you.